Testing. 1, 2.
Susan got lipstick all over her coffee cup.
Susan Brewer is a residency counselor at Whitestone. I don't need to read that like do it. I can read that normal thing.
Wing it, baby. Any way you want to do it.
.357 Productions is proud to present The Masonian, a monthly podcast for Freemasons with a focus on the grand jurisdiction of North Carolina. While not an official function of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina, we operate with the full endorsement of Grand Master Douglas Cottle. The opinions expressed on this show are those of the participants and in no way reflect the opinions of the Grand Lodge of North Carolina, its members, or any appendant bodies.
No way.
No way. None at all.
Not even remotely.
Not remotely. 357 Productions does not own any of this music, although we wish we did. And by all means, we love it.
A lot.
A lot. We use it a lot. And we love it.
Love it a long time.
How are you, Brother Ben?
I'm awesome, man. I've been in a mad dash scramble all day, but here we are, and we're finally ready to get it going on. I'm ready to relax. This is the relax time right here.
Absolutely. We're back once again. We've got Brother Ben Wallace. We've got Brother Sean Brown on the soundboard. He's up back here mashing buttons and all kinds of stuff, looking very important, very dapper with all of his new technology. You doing all right, man?
Doing great.
Good. Awesome. We're very fortunate tonight to have Susan Brewer, who's a residency counselor at Whitestone, a Masonic and Eastern Star community in Greensboro. She grew up behind a retirement community and at age 10 began volunteering there. At age 12, Susan felt a calling to work in the senior living industry. Her passion led to her receiving a degree in human services from Wingate University. Susan has worked in all facets of the industry: independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing, and memory care. She's held positions as a social worker, memory care coordinator, administrator, and sales marketing director. When Susan accepted her current position at Whitestone, she felt it was perfect marriage of two of her worlds: her love for senior living and her affiliation with the Masonic organization. Her father, John K. Canup, was the first master. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay, awesome. Was the first master of Clemens Lodge, number 755. He was also a past district deputy grand master and past grand chaplain. Susan's brother, John, is a past master of Clemens Lodge, number 755, a 33rd degree member of the Winston-Salem Valley of the Scottish Rite, a member of the Oasis Shrine, a member of the Clemens chapter, number 373, Order of the Eastern Star. Susan's husband, Richard, was raised last October at Clemens Lodge number 755. Susan joined the Clemens chapter, number 373, Order of the Eastern Star, last year and was installed as an officer this year. In her spare time, which is zero, Susan enjoys volunteering with the Greensboro Beautiful Incorporated, speed skating on a competitive level, and playing golf and spending time with her family. Susan, thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing well.
Happy to be here.
And with that being said, we're going to turn it over to the main man.
Pack leader.
The pack leader.
Well, Susan, we're awful happy that you decided to come down and join us. I guess the first thing we should explain to everybody is how you wound up coming down here. We considered getting like Mark Collada to come, since for those of you that don't know, Mark is the head of Whitestone. What is his official title?
Executive Director.
The Executive Director. But our whole podcast kind of has this loose feel to it, and I don't want to say that we're anti-establishment, because we're certainly not. We're very pro-establishment, but we're not part of the establishment. And so when we started to set the podcast up, we thought about doing it like through the Grand Lodge Masonic Education Committee, and we just decided that wasn't going to be a good fit, because it would have if we did that, we would both have to have kind of an NPR feel to it. Miss Susan, very glad that you could come today. We didn't want that. We wanted Metallica and, loose conversation. And it to feel more conversational and just comfortable, because when people are comfortable, it's more enjoyable to watch them when they're all uptight. So, kind of going with our theme here, we felt like having the heads of these organizations, with the exception of next month when we're going to have the Grand Master come, then we'd just be better off, getting guys that are more at an operations level to talk about, entities like this. I don't know if we're right or not, but that's what we're going to do. What do you think, buddy?
It's a great approach. I mean, just like you said, having the guys that are leading the show or the main guys, that's great. But talking with people like Susan, who are actually the working wheels behind it, making it all go, I mean, that's what the members need to hear.
Absolutely. So there were lots of people that work at the operational level at Whitestone that we could have gotten, but Susan and I got to know each other last year. We went to Philadelphia to GAP training, and GAP training this is kind of a long story, and I don't want to go too deep into it, but past Grandmaster Dewey Pressler and Dr. Brunk somehow conspire to get some people to some training every year by a crowd called GAP International, and it's a kind of a you have more potential than you think you do, and you can things that you think are out of reach for you are really reachable if you just look at it the right way. And it was a wonderful, wonderful class, and it took 3 or 4 days. I think class was 3 days. So we went up, spent 3 days in class, came back. So we spent the better part of a week together. Me and Susan and Lori and Aaron Morris and
Tracy from Whitestone.
Who else? Joey
Russell Bridges.
Joey Transo, Kevin. Came from the home. So I probably left somebody out, but there was a big group of us that went up there, and we had a good time. We got to know each other, and I don't know. I just like Miss Susan. She's got this real soccer mom kind of feel to her. She's just real
cool soccer mom.
I am the furthest thing from a soccer mom.
A rock star soccer mom. But and the thing that really puts her cool factor over the top is this whole speed skating thing. Now, Sean didn't tell me to press you on this issue, but Sean used to competitively speed skate.
Oh, really?
Yes, in Asheboro, and now he's like all techie and everything, and we don't think of him as super athlete, but he was. So
awesome.
so he really is into that. So he wanted you to tell us a little bit about it. Tell us a little bit about speed
skating.
Yeah,
never thought that, Sean.
Who knew?
Roller derby, maybe.
You never know a man until you know him.
That's awesome.
Tell us about speed skating.
Well, I grew up in Clemens, and as a child, spent a lot of time at the skating rink, as most kids did, back in the early 80s, and enjoyed speed skating, not as much on a competitive level then as I do now, but back in about 2009, 2010, went back up to the skating rink because I heard that there was a group of folks still getting together once or twice a week to skate, and needed some cardio fitness, and that's the only cardio I enjoy. So decided to go back up there and started speed skating with that group, and actually met my husband there. He grew up skating competitively as well, and actually he was much better than I was, and competed on national levels. So anyway, he and I met doing that, and then we decided in 2012 to go to the national competition, and we brought home some medals, which was kind of cool. So anyway, yeah, we enjoy doing that.
Now, I know we're getting off track here talking about speed skating, but I don't know how to skate, to be honest with you. I know nothing about skating. So speed skating it's like race cars going around a track. You're just
left turns.
That's it. And you're just trying to beat the next guy out.
That's right, but there's a lot of strategy behind it. It's not all physical.
Drafting and all that good stuff.
That's right.
Are there like fights and wrecks and fights and stuff?
At times.
Oh man! Now you're sure this isn't? We're sure we're not talking about roller derby here.
Not roller derby, although it feels like roller derby at times, but especially out on the national competition floor.
Now, the only time I went to roller derby, there was like lots and lots of real manly looking ladies out there.
And you remember we went together?
Oh, that's right. That was at
the Pig Jeep.
It was at the Pig Jeep
2 years ago.
We are off topic here. Let's get back on topic.
All right.
So we decided after the last couple of episodes, our announcements and things going on in North Carolina went on for like half the show, and so we're going to tighten up on that. We're going to smoke through these pretty quick, but there's some things that we want to say, and the first one is we want to throw a bone to the home team. We had the Uwharrie Mountain Rumble a couple weeks ago, and it went really good. It was better than last year. and we thought it was the second time doing it, so you would expect us to tighten up on some stuff. The ride was really good. The weather was great. We made more money. We had more fun, and I can only see this thing getting better going forward. What do you think, buddy?
Sponsors were unbelievable. We had so many sponsors this year, and I wish we had time to go over all of them and thank them, but it was unbelievable, all the sponsors.
Maybe we'll get Sean to take a shot of the banner that we got hanging up over here. You can't see it from this shot, probably.
That'll be awesome. We can put that on the Facebook page.
There you go. Yeah, we appreciate all those guys. Wilkerson College had its final session. I know there's only 36 students in Wilkerson College, so the other 38,000 Masons aren't really interested in that. But it's important. It's important to the state. And this session finished up. We had great class. It was in Raleigh, the North Raleigh Hilton. Had a banquet dinner afterwards. So that is done for another year. For you guys that have deacons next year that you're maybe considering sending, please do so. It's a great opportunity, and you don't want to miss it. What happens is it's a training course for deacons, train them to be better masters someday, and it just really prepares you, because most people who have been master just got thrown into it, right? All we know is what we saw the guys in front of us do, and some of those guys were great, some were not. So this is a training course for those guys, and please send your deacons.
Sets a great foundation. I know we've talked about it the past few shows, but we can't say it enough. I mean, it sets an unprecedented foundation for a gentleman coming into the East for the first time. So it's definitely worthwhile. Who do the people need to contact if they're interested for next year? Would that be?
Yeah, so normally they open admissions on October 1st. So that they have, Wilkerson College has a web page, easy Google search, Wilkerson College. You can find that and you can download the application. Also, if you go to the annual communication, they'll be handing out there'll be applications for handout right there. So good stuff. Scottish Rite, we just finished our reunion. I know Charlotte had theirs on the same day that we did. I'm assuming that all the valleys have had their spring reunions by now. If not, then they're going to do it soon. Here's a good thing about Scottish Rite reunions. We have 2 a year. So for anybody that's not a Scottish Rite Mason yet, or York Rite also, they have spring and fall reunions. Wonderful organizations. Greensboro is just really in a good place right now. There's lots of good energy there. Gene Cobb is our venerable master, and he's our what do you call him? Personal representative. And he's just got us rolling. He's got us feeling good up there. So good organization. Everybody consider that, please. And I got to do a new part this year. I got to be minister of state in 32nd and did it from memory, and it rocked. It just feels so good. I love that part. There's just something about doing a part that you just, when it's really good, rich, deep stuff, and you're just rolling with it. Boy, it just takes on its own feel. It's just great. Wilkerson College Lodge Symposium is coming up June 13th. We pitch that every time on this show, but we want everybody to come. There's going to have a ritual competition. At the same time the ritual competition is going on, Rob Hurd is going to be, and Mike Daniels are going to be talking about allegory and symbolism type stuff in a different room. So you can go to either one of those, and at the same time all that's going on, we're also going to have a history path, so you can listen to guys talk about history. So a little bit of something for everybody. June 13th, please put that on your calendars.
And for all you guys listening, I know, all fun aside, the presenters for this are really rock stars. I mean, they're famous in their own right. They've been in Masonry for a long time. They've written books. They've got journals. They've been on shows. I mean, they go all over the U.S., all over the world. So, I mean, these guys are awesome. The guys presenting at this are going to be awesome, and it's a chance for you to see them all in one place. So, please, definitely put them on your calendar.
The other thing I want to pitch for, a little pitch for the home team, is with Sophia. Sophia has 3 national level speakers come in a year. One of them is Ryan Flynn. He's going to be coming in on May 2nd. We're rolling this out on May 1st, so by the time y'all hear this, you probably missed it unless you happen to be watching it Friday night when we post it up. But Jason Marshall is coming from Veritas Lodge. He's written a couple of books. He runs Laudable Pursuit, another podcaster. Really super good guy. I can't wait to hear what he says. That's going to be July the 18th. And I read an article the other day in Knight Templar magazine. Somebody turned me on to it. I think it was Michael Pfizer or somebody called and said, hey, read this article. And this guy named John Palmer, who's like, has something to do with the magazine. I think maybe he's the editor of the magazine. Wrote an article talking about. He was making the comparison of the ancients and the moderns to what he called new ancients and new moderns. And he was kind of breaking out like this TO kind of crowd and the guys that are more into allegory and symbolism. And he was calling them neo-ancients, and then the guys that are, wanting to maintain the numbers and, worried about our, do one-day classes and those kinds of things, he was calling them neo-moderns, and then he had a group in the middle. I'll do it injustice if I try to explain this too deep, but it was a really, really good article, and it got a lot of buzz in North Carolina. There were a lot of people talking about this particular article, and so I contacted him the other day. He called me back, and we're working on getting him to come to Sophia to be a national level speaker, and that is going to take place, it looks like, in November, and I'll let you know when we get that done. Sean, did I mess anything up when I jerked that out of there? Okay, so that's all I have as far as announcements. Susan, here's something I want to know from you, young lady.
I'm a neo-ancient, by the way.
Are you really?
I'm ancient.
well,
you speedskate, you're not ancient.
No, it's it's a long story. There's a long history. We'll do a program on that.
Before we get started into that, this is just off the cuff here. I know across North Carolina, Masons, one of the big topics is, what are you reading? What are you reading? You go to lodges all the time, you hear somebody say, hey, what are you reading? Masons across the board seem to be very big into reading. It's just something we do. You read a lot of great books and a lot of great publications, which you're just talking about right now.
Yeah.
You think on our Facebook page, maybe sometime you could put maybe a little clip of really good things that you're reading or publications that you are following that are really good?
Yeah, we should do that. We should certainly give, with the magazine, the biggest one that, of course, I write sometimes for Living Stones, and I love everything that Rob does there. So we probably ought to give him a shout out just because he's our buddy.
Absolutely.
And the magazine's great. And as far as books, I could do a book list. I have one that I give out after allegory and symbolism lectures. Guys are always asking for, the books that I've based all that research off of. So, a lot of Wilmshurst and JSM Ward. And
in this publication you're referring to, it was out of Knights Templar?
Knights Templar magazine. Which if you're a York-Rite Mason, you get that as part of your dues, I guess.
Right.
So, yeah.
Pretty cool. We digress. Back to the show.
We digress. Susan, tell us about Eastern Star. None of us are in the Eastern Star.
Well, why not?
Well,
you should be.
I don't know that there's a chapter real close to here. Plus, we're in everything else, so I'm not sure there's time. Tell us about it. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Eastern Star and your experience with it.
Wow. Well, growing up, the daughter of a Mason and then the sister of a Mason, I remember years ago when I was younger, my father mentioning the Eastern Star, and I knew that we had a chapter in Clemens, and all I knew of the Eastern Star was that they would have their spaghetti dinners, and they would sometimes cook for the lodge whenever they were having different events, and that was pretty much all I knew about the Eastern Star. But then whenever I started working at Whitestone, my interest was piqued a little bit, and so I decided to join the Eastern Star chapter in Clemens. And it's just a learning process for me. We believe strongly in the community service, also serving the distressed, like the Masons do. We do have our bi-monthly meetings, which I have really come to enjoy. We've got a great group in Clemens. So, and then I have also connected with a lot of the residents at Whitestone, and there is a chapter at Whitestone that was formed back in 2008. So anyway, it's a great organization.
Where do you meet at Whitestone?
They meet in the fellowship hall at Whitestone.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there's degree work that goes along with it?
Sort of in a different way. We've got the Star Point chairs. We've got the officer chairs around the perimeter of the room. Very similar, but different.
What was Were there more than one candidate when you did yours, or were you the only candidate?
That's a great question. I am proud to say that whenever I showed up to my initiation, Brother John was sitting there in the lobby, and I thought, well, that's really nice of him to come and give some moral support, you know. And so we were sitting there talking while they were opening the meeting, and the more we talked, the more it dawned on me that he wasn't there for moral support. He was there to join with me.
Really?
And that was very special. Very
that's
special.
Wonderful.
So apparently they had kept that as a secret from me, and they had told me an initial initiation date, and then they moved it back, and it was because they had to do the investigation of him because he came forward and said, I want to join as well. So
Wonderful.
Anyway, it's very special.
So your brother joins with you, and I see that your husband was raised not too long ago.
That's right.
October. Is he a member as well, or is he
not of the Eastern Star?
So I got to think that's pretty cool. You've got a husband that's a Mason now, and then you're an Eastern Star. I mean, that's pretty cool. A couple that's both sides of the house.
Yes, it's very cool.
Very cool.
And there are a lot of couples who are members of Eastern Star. Now, I haven't gotten Richard in the Eastern Star yet, but he's fairly new in the organization, and so I don't want to overwhelm him. But anyway, there are a lot of couples who are very active in Eastern Star.
Cool.
So yeah, that's neat.
Okay, so what exactly is your title at Whitestone?
My title at Whitestone is residency counselor. And what that means is usually a lot of people think that I'm a counselor. And I am in a way, but I am in the sales and marketing department. And I am basically a sales counselor. Is what my title is. But when folks come in to look at Whitestone and look at maybe committing to living at Whitestone, with my past experience in the industry, I kind of help guide them through the process. You know, a lot of folks will come in and they don't know where to start. They're just there because they think they need some information, and so as we start talking about their needing a plan in place, they realize that there's a lot more to it than just coming in and signing up.
Right, and Lori is the same thing that you are. Y'all have the same title?
Lori is the marketing director. So she is over the marketing department.
How do you say her last name?
Yaskowitz.
I've always wondered.
Don't ask me how to spell it.
Yeah, okay.
I can pronounce it. Don't ask me how to spell it. Lori is our marketing director, and then we have a marketing coordinator who assists the both of us, and that's Richard Spivey. Actually, he is being initiated into Gate City tonight, probably
awesome.
as we're speaking. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful.
It's very exciting.
How'd you get hired there? Tell me about how you got hired.
I got hired. I heard about the position being opened, and called and voiced my interest in the position, and just came in for the interviews. And in the process of the interviews, made it known that I had a little bit of a background with the fraternity, not personally, but through my family, and I guess more my experience than anything is what got me hired.
Cool. Did you tell them about the speed skating thing when you interviewed? Or?
I think I did mention, because it seems like Mark asked me.
Sold it for right there.
There you go. I think that Mark asked me about interests away from work, and at the time I was training for nationals, so that's definitely an interest.
Very cool. Tell us a little bit about the history of the home and how we came to have it.
Well, we were sharing before we started recording about a story, and part of the story that I had heard was that in the early 1900s, I think it was 1903 to be exact, there was a Mason and maybe two Masons who traveled to, I believe, Guilford County to visit a brother who was in the county home. And after that visit, they went to Grand Lodge and said, we need to be doing more for our distressed brothers. And so they talked about doing something as far as a home. It was tabled. I don't know exactly what happened. I'm not that ancient. But in about 1908, the Eastern Star got involved, and I don't know how many people know that the Eastern Star helped get it back into conversation. So the Eastern Star went to a Grand Chapter and said, could we help the Masonic Lodge or the Grand Lodge get the home started? And so it was a joint effort.
And what year was this?
That was 1908, which is when they went back and they started talking about it again. I believe in 1910 they started working on papers for incorporation. Incorporation happened in 1912. So that was 1912 was when it was incorporated. 1913 was when the first residents moved in.
The Greensboro Scottish Rite was getting started about that same time also.
Interesting.
So all that was firing up at the same time. It just must have been a very busy time for Masonry in North Carolina then. And then the war came. And then the Depression came. And there were tough times until World War II.
So I was eavesdropping on this story earlier, but it could be that it was two guys from Star that traveled by train.
This is written down somewhere. I know I've read this story before in their history. They're probably on their webpage.
So our guys listening, we're essentially saying that two guys from Star, and we'd like to dig further into that to find out exactly where in Montgomery County. We're thinking and hoping they came from Montgomery County, but two guys got on a train. They went to Guilford County and said, listen, we got a friend up here, we got to do something, and boom.
They probably
happened.
They probably came from them chicken houses out there where that geographic center in North Carolina is, where that geological survey.
It could be where the rock's at from. That big rock.
The center of North Carolina. The exact center.
It is pretty cool. Star being right down the road. I mean, that's amazing for this small community.
So for everybody that knows, Star's in Montgomery County. We live in Montgomery County, so Star's like maybe 8 miles that way. And so it's kind of the home.
So you can see why we're excited about that.
Maybe they were from Eastern Star.
Oh.
Could be, because they're.
But Sean, we have to get you a set of symbols back then.
Do we know when Eastern Star started on the east side? Because I know there is one on the east side.
Yeah, Bisco.
And Bisco, and that pulls from Star. Yeah. So you could be a strong possibility.
There's some research. Why don't you do a program for us at Blackburn? You can research all that.
Done.
All right, good stuff. So, Miss Susan, I understand that the home went along for a while, and Bryant Webster has this wonderful program. I've heard him do it many times, both for Wilkerson College and other places, where he talks about how we got in a lot of financial trouble, and then the path that we took to get out of there. So now we're finally getting around to what we wanted to talk about, and I'm going to let you tell most of that story. So let's talk about how we got in trouble and how we got out of it.
Okay. Well. Picture with me for a moment. You have a business plan in place where you have a few things going on. First of all, at the home, and we'll call it the home because that's what it was then, and still is to a lot of folks. I call it Whitestone, but at that time we were closed to just Masons and Eastern Stars. That's what the home was founded on, was to help distressed brothers, their widows, and Eastern Star members. So we were closed to the general public. Another factor was that a lot of those residents who were coming to the home were indigent. And so we had an assigned asset program where they would pay 75% of their assets and 75% of their monthly income in exchange for lifetime care. And then a third factor was that we didn't have a lot of Masons and Eastern Stars choosing to move there for whatever reason. Maybe they were finding other residences they wanted to live at. Maybe they were just aging in place at home. Whatever the reason was.
And do I understand right that this 75%, that there was a look back period on that?
Probably, but I don't know that for sure.
Okay.
There should have been if there wasn't. But
Well, I think there was. I think that I remember Bryant telling this story, and there was a look back period. So what people were figuring out to figure out the system is they would take their home and their
move
money, they
assets.
would give that to their children,
Right.
and then
which is what a lot of folks do with
Right.
today's Medicaid.
Sure.
So I'm not sure about the look back period. I imagine that there was one.
okay,
So all of those three factors together wasn't a very viable business. And fortunately, the board of directors recognized that back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so they opted to make some changes. One of the changes was to open up to the general public. Another change was to go from an assigned asset program to an entrance fee program, which has worked out beautifully, actually. And in conjunction with that, or at the same time, the foundation is still there. Because I know there's a perception out there that when we went from being closed to the general public to opening up, and then going from the assigned asset program to an entrance fee, all of a sudden perceptions started changing about what the home was and should be.
there was much wailing and gnashing of teeth. That's about time I was coming along.
Okay.
And there were some very hard feelings over that. And I was being a new Mason. I didn't really know what it was all about. I didn't know the whole story until I went to Wilkerson College and heard Bryant tell about it. But just how close did we come to losing the home?
Very close. Very close.
So why were we going to lose it? Can you just expand on all that a little bit?
Well, it doesn't really take a business genius to figure out that if you've got more expenses than you have income, then you're going to close your doors eventually.
And as I understand it, that homes are required to have a certain amount of money
Cash on hand.
Yeah, and that we were bumping up against that, and we weren't bringing in enough money, and we were fixing to hit that limit, and
Right.
that they were within days of closing it. The state was.
Well, and the Department of Insurance requires that we have that money in place, and so it wasn't really something that that we were. It wasn't just our decision, but it was the state's decision.
And as Bryant tells this story, if I'm correct, they didn't have enough money to keep the DOI from shutting them down, so they went to the foundation, the Masonic Foundation, and they loaned them a lot of money. I think it was a couple $1 million, but a lot of money, and got them enough cash to hold on long enough to come up with a new business plan and remarket the whole thing.
And I'll tell you what, I will give props to the folks that were on the board of directors at the time who made the decision to take it a little different direction, because if it weren't for them, our doors would have probably closed. And that has been the case for a lot of the Masonic homes in the country, that they just haven't been able to remain viable, and so they've had to close their doors. I do want to add, as a part of the history of the home, we are the oldest Masonic retirement home in the country, and we are the first retirement community in North Carolina, which is really cool, I think. Got a lot of great history there.
It's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
So as I understand it, they couldn't take Medicare and Medicaid prior to the change because we're not open to everybody. We were only open to Masons and Stars. Is that right?
I'm not sure about that, but that makes sense to me, coming from the industry and working with the state of North Carolina, not for the state of North Carolina. But that makes perfect sense, that if you're just closed to Masons and Eastern Stars, then...
Yeah. And so then when they made the change and started again, I'm talking about stuff I really don't know about here, but I've heard the story several times. I understand that when they started letting everybody in, then they could start taking Medicare and Medicaid money, and that started to make it easier for people to move there. And then y'all started this big remodel project.
That's right. That's right.
Tell us about the remodel project. Because probably, Susan, a lot of people, that there's tons of Masons that have never been there at all, and probably most of the ones that have been there haven't been there since all that has happened. They haven't been there the last 7 or 8 years.
Well, I'll tell you, when before the remodel project, I had been there a few times, and when I came for my interview, and this was after the remodel, the first phase of the remodel project, I thought that they had flattened the administrative building and rebuilt. It was that drastic. And so part of that plan was, when we opened up to the general public, we needed to grow a little bit. And so they did their market research, and there was a lot of there was a lot that went into that. There was a great need out in the greater community, and so they went through, I think it was a $30 million project where we renovated the administrative building, and then we added a new apartment building. We also built on to the back of the administrative building, or the clubhouse. So we added a couple of common area rooms, fellowship hall, a bistro, arts and crafts area.
Library.
The library
Pool hall.
That's right. We've got it all.
Pool.
We've got it all.
Cool.
That's right.
For the people that haven't been there, it is a very, very nice facility.
It is.
I mean, I've been in a lot of nursing homes and assisted living homes, and you don't see them like this. And so, Susan, tell us a little bit about the level of care and how somebody can come there.
Okay.
In my shape, and they'll carry you through all the
Sure.
levels of care.
Well, we are considered a continuing care retirement community, so we do have all levels of care available. We have independent living. We do have assisted living. We've got our in-home care services. We have skilled nursing, and we have memory care, which is assisted living. A unique thing about Whitestone that I really like is that as far as assisted living goes, when you're living in independent living and you get to a point where you need some additional services such as bathing, dressing, grooming, medication management.
I need all that now.
Then you don't have to move from your independent living unit, whether you're in a house or an apartment or a cottage. You stay right where you are, and our in-home services come and take care of your needs in your unit. And it's not until you need 24-hour nursing care that you would move to the skilled nursing facility or memory care.
Sean, what's our out time?
About 8:15.
Okay, we got to move then.
Well, I got one question. I was fortunate enough with being that I went right as you guys were starting the remodel phase. Mm-hmm. So I got to see it right at the very beginning. And that was right as coming into masonry, right into the gate. And then I was fortunate enough to go back with Wilkerson College. We took a tour, and I think you'd finished a couple of things, and in the process of, you were in the midst of building a new wing apartments. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's really fancy. I mean, it's beautiful. It's awesome. And I know across the board in North Carolina, so many rural lodges and different things like that, there's this myth that the home is for rich Masons, that the only people that can go there are rich Masons, and we all know that's false. Mm-hmm. Could you help us debunk that? I mean, how can we fight that in the lodges?
Well, first of all, we still have our foundation. In addition, before we talk about the foundation, we have a lot of different levels of entrance fees. I mentioned that we implemented the entrance fee program. We have a lot of different types of units in independent living. So we've got a lot of different grades of entrance fees. So we, just because you may not think you can afford to live there, if you're a Mason, that could be further from the truth, or that could not be further from the truth. Once you're there and you're living at Whitestone, if you get to a point where you outlive your financial resources, as a Mason or an Eastern Star, you can make application to the foundation, and they will subsidize your monthly income so that you can stay there. In some cases, they will subsidize the entrance fee so that you can come and live there. I also, you said it's really fancy. I want to debunk the idea that we might be like a country club. Again, could not be further from the truth. We have a couple of country club type continuing care communities in the Greensboro area, and when I have folks come in to look at Whitestone about living there, they always tell me about how down to earth and friendly our residents are, and when they come onto the campus, there is just a warm, welcoming feel, which is why I always tell folks, come see Whitestone. You don't know until you've been here.
Oh, it was great. And when we visited, we had a chance to eat with the residents.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I also want to mention, and this for me is important to mention, just because we've opened up to the general public doesn't mean that we do not maintain a fraternal culture there. Of all of our residents, we've got about 75% that are fraternal. So I also want to debunk that.
And then lodges, if I'm correct, lodges can come and visit and hold a lodge.
Absolutely.
Is that still the same?
Yeah. Yes. Although this is my personal soapbox right here. My personal soapbox. The home would be so much better off if more people would go see it.
Absolutely.
And I absolutely think that the way for them to get more people up there is to have a doggone lodge room. They have a room you can meet. We've met there several times with Wilkerson College Lodge, but it's not set up like a lodge room. The doors are in the wrong place. They don't have lodge furniture.
So it's basically just a room.
It's just a room. And what do you call that room?
Well, it's the fellowship hall. It's a multi-purpose room.
A multi-purpose
I
room.
know we toured it when we were there that day.
So my plan is when they make me king of the
When we're riding around on our scooters up there.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is that if they would have a lodge room, then some Grand Master could push the idea, or a bunch of Grand Masters, that I will grant any lodge a dispensation to go have their meeting at Whitestone, and get lodges to go up there. And once you get them there, that place sells itself. Mm-hmm. It sells itself. You just got to get them there, and you can't get them to come have a lodge meeting if you don't have a lodge room. I know you've got one that you use, but it's not a lodge room. It's not a lodge room. Mm-hmm.
And therefore, I guess Eastern Star could meet there as well.
Eastern Star does meet there. I mean, we've got the chapter at Whitestone, but other chapters would be welcome to come and use it as well.
And Bean's right. There's so many members in the fraternity that have never stepped foot on the grounds, and that's a huge disservice to the order.
Not only members, but there are DDGMs, masters of their lodges that haven't been there. Of course, they're going to get the DDGMs there because they're doing this thing where they're traveling like Wilkerson College now, but I don't know. I get me a lodge room up there. It won't take much
We'll have
money.
the boss here next time.
I'll press him.
There we go.
All we need is a little room. It doesn't have to be big. Mm-hmm. The Orphans Lodge is tiny. Mm-hmm. That's not.
But it's enough.
But it's enough. I don't know. All right, I beat that.
Susan, I know we're running low on time here. This is a hot topic with an aging population of Masons. How do those Masons that are listening to this podcast, how do they find out more information? Where do they go? Who do they talk to?
Well, they can go to our website, which is www.liveatwhitestone.org, and all of that is spelled out. There are no @ signs. You can also call, we do have an 800 number, but it's on our website. I don't have that in my head. If you're local, the phone number is 336-299-0031, and Mary Catherine can get you routed to the right person. You can show up on the doorstep, and we'll talk with you, take you around.
By sheer chance, do you guys have a Facebook page?
We do have a Facebook page.
And we can link it on our site.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so if somebody wants to move in, they come see, they ultimately, by doing what we just said, wind up at your doorstep, right?
That's right. Mine are Lori's. And we will sit down and chat with you, whoever, and get to know you a little better, and then we'll match up the services that we have to offer with what your needs are, and make sure you're well taken care of.
What else do you guys do there besides just have residents? I understand you have some outreach programs.
We do have some outreach programs, and this is primarily for people who aren't quite ready, to make a move yet, but still have some needs living across the state. If you have needs for durable medical equipment, we can help with that, whether we're loaning equipment or you need some help in finding equipment close to you. We will certainly help with those kinds of things.
And that applies to widows too.
Yes, absolutely.
I know my grandmother passed away a few years ago, and we were able to get some stuff. It was very easy.
Good.
Very easy.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Okay, so more or less, how much does it cost?
More or less, depending on the unit. The entrance fees range from about $50,000 to $262,000. The monthly service fees start at about $2,300 per month, and that covers a lot. I tell folks that if you compare what you're spending at home, your monthly expenses at home, to what you're spending at Whitestone and what you're receiving for each of those, it will pretty much shake out. You've got a meal plan that's included, so you don't have to cook if you don't want to. You've also got units that have full kitchens, so if you enjoy cooking and you want to continue doing that, you certainly can. We like to provide options. So
How old do you have to be to move up there?
you have to be 60 years of age or older. So you guys aren't quite there yet.
We're getting there as fast as we can, aren't we?
We've got our hover rounds picked out.
People have dogs up there.
They do have dogs.
Tell
They
us
have
about the dogs.
Cats too. We do accept pets, and we're one of the few communities around that, number one, accepts pets. Number two, doesn't charge for them. We are so pet friendly. And about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, we built a dog park. It's called the Whitestone Dog Park.
Pretty cool.
Whitestone.
And there's a doggy graveyard out there.
A doggy graveyard. I'm not aware about the doggy graveyard.
Didn't they tell us that?
It
when we
is.
were
It's on the
walking?
back side. If I'm not mistaken, it's on the back side where the pool's at. They showed us on the tour.
All right. See, I don't take folks on the back lot tour.
You need to be taking notes.
I do. Y'all are teaching me something.
And you guys,
Wilkerson College, baby.
and you guys have a pharmacy on site?
We do have a pharmacy on site. We sure do.
Amazing.
Is the food good?
The food is awesome. One of the few complaints I hear is that a lot of new residents gain that freshman 15, So I just tell them to go down to the pool or the fitness center and work it off.
That's what I was thinking. It was college all over again. A fraternity. There's all
right.
this cool stuff going on. That's
Right.
awesome.
We even have a weekly wind down party every Friday afternoon. So
Yeah, we're there.
yeah.
Yeah. Every year when we do Wilkerson College, we always meet there on a Friday, so the wind down's always going on. So I always wind up sitting in there with Doug King and some of the ladies. I didn't see him this year.
So when the three of us get there, you think we can find a little location for podcast?
Absolutely.
At 100 years old, we can
Yes.
be doing that.
Yes.
Awesome.
We do it in the library or the pool hall.
Perfect.
Susan, we mentioned two foundations, and just to clear that up, the foundation that I was referring to when we were talking about them lending money to Whitestone when they were in trouble is I'll never get this right, but the North Carolina Masonic Foundation. And they're one of the three charities, and they manage a large fund of money for the Grand Lodge, and they do good things with it, like lend it to y'all when you're in trouble. The foundation that you were referring to is actually what we call the LLC.
That's right.
And so, as I understand it, correct me where I go wrong here, when the home was in trouble, and we started taking non-fraternal residents, and then we made it nicer and did all the remodeling and started charging more money and got our feet back under us and got back in the black. During that time, we were not doing very much charity as far as helping residents because they were struggling to get things back together. But now I understand that we got our feet under us and that they are doing charity again. And this seems to be something that people around the state are just now starting to learn. And I hear an awful lot, well, they don't even do any charity up there anymore, but you do. And that's done through the LLC. So what we keep hearing from our leadership is when you're going to give money to Whitestone, you want to give it to the LLC, which is specifically for fraternal assistance.
That is correct.
And so now you have both, I understand you have both beds and money available to take people who cannot afford to do that themselves.
That's
you want
correct.
to flesh that out?
Sure. We are currently taking applications for foundation assistance. Last year we did about $1.1 million in foundation charity assistance for residents. We assist about 37 residents at Whitestone currently. And we've got our foundation or our LLC board of directors set up. So when an application comes in, they look over the application. They determine if the applicant is able to receive foundation assistance, and then if we've got the availability, which we do currently, then they just move right in.
I'm surprised you have availability. How many beds do you have available? Or
currently,
rooms?
I believe we've got one available. So
you don't have many.
Not many. What would be really nice is if we could continue building on the donations, so that we could, open up some more apartments for foundation assistance. So we're in the process of building on that right now.
Is there enough room on your facility for expansion?
We are actually, I believe this month they've started master planning on the next phase. What we're going to do. We've got a couple of options on the table. One is to expand in our independent living. One is to expand in our care and wellness center, because we need some more skilled nursing beds as well. They may do a little of each, but yes, we've got a little bit of room left. Not much.
In your current facilities, but I understand that they told us this time at Wilkerson College that y'all had enough land to build on presently, and even if you needed more, that the North Carolina Masonic Foundation owns property adjacent to y'all's property, and that they would be willing to share that with you or give it to you whenever the time came to build more buildings off property that you have.
That's a great problem to have.
Absolutely it is. So Susan, I think the thing that I wanted to make sure that everybody understood, but because I remember so much consternation back when it started getting fancy, and nobody understood what was going on, was that it was necessary, you correct me if I'm wrong here, we were flat on our hindies. By getting fancy and taking non-fraternal folks, and we were able to get this thing back going again, so that we were able to again start doing charity work.
That's right.
And we have seen all that happen.
That's right.
And we're right back to doing charity work and looking for folks.
And building on that, it's continuing to build.
Oh, while maintaining an unbelievable administration and the people that you encounter right when you walk in the door.
And we were close to closing. But
So you're definitely doing something right.
yeah, it's been turned around.
Well, it's a wonderful success story, isn't it?
Thank you. Yes, we're very proud of it.
Is it a great place to work?
Awesome, the best.
Well, we are very thankful that we have you and all the rest of the team up there.
Well, thank you. It's truly a privilege.
Sean, what do you think? Fixing to run it up out of here.
Just about.
What else you want to talk about? Did I see you were at a Candlebox concert the other day?
Yes,
Keep up with you. I stalk you on Facebook.
that's right. We were at Candlebox. We got Boston next month. James Taylor in July. So yeah, we're running the concert series,
I hear you.
concert tour.
Maybe we can get her to move to Montgomery County.
All right. Well, Miss Susan, we appreciate you coming all the way down here in the country. It was about an hour-long drive for Susan, I guess. Hour and a half.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, to come down here to the tractor shed and spend some time with us. And thank you so much for sharing your time.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Masonian. For more information and productions, please visit and like our Facebook page at 357 Productions. You may also email us at 357productionsteam@gmail.com. As always, tell people that you love them, and remember that we meet on the level and part on the square.